Hi guys, and welcome back to Pass the Move, and for today's episode in our lively Liverpool series we've got a game here as promised against Chelsea in the Premier League. Now of course, as you can tell from the table straight away, we are in third place, 71 points, Chelsea themselves in fifth place with 60 points. We've got an 11-point gap on them, and if we win today, and I think only winning would help us qualify for the Champions League and meet the board expectations. So we've done really well to be in third place, only a incredible Manchester City side in truth. I mean, they're only 8 points away, still plenty to go on, but Manchester United as well, fierce rivals Manchester United are above us too. So United's problem has actually been draws, and City's problem has really not been much of a problem. I always say you can get away with about 5 draws and 5 losses in the season, and so City are within touching distance of that, and they still have 5 more games to play. So hopefully it's possible, mathematically possible, but the likelihood of both City and United dropping points for us to jump both and win the Premier League will be very unlikely. Obviously it will be a dream come true if it happens, but we just kind of have to be a bit realistic, keep our feet on the ground, and first things first, try and qualify for the Champions League by beating Chelsea here today. If we win, that means there's 34 games played, there'll be only 4 more games left with 12 points necessary to overtake us, and obviously if we win, that means we'll open up our gap from 11 points to 14 points on Chelsea, and that way it's mathematically impossible, and we qualify for Champions League. I think a draw would keep it within touching distance still. We'd be on 72 points, they'll be on 61. Yeah, so they'll still be 11 points away, and 12 points are still on the table. So again, still it won't be mathematically impossible, and that way we won't be able to qualify. So a very important game, and hopefully we get the same result we had against them early in the season. So in terms of what happened since the last episode, we showed the game against Celtic where we drew them 1-1. Unfortunately it wasn't enough for us to get into the quarterfinals. There has been a bit of a development which has made me feel a bit better about this result, and the development is that Celtic have beaten Bayern 2-0 in the first leg of the quarterfinal. So that makes me feel a bit better. They were at home, to be fair, but keeping a clean sheet against Bayern is always an admirable thing. In terms of the other results, you can see them here. Manchester United beat Barcelona just 1-0. Juventus managed to beat their Italian, you can't really say teammates, but I guess the Italian rivals, I suppose, in Napoli 2-0. City beat Madrid with a huge result there, 4-0, the Champions League title holders, of course. But yeah, that's just a little side note that has made me a bit okay with how we performed. The board were very disappointed in truth. I mean, look at that board confidence down to 26%. We were just one stage off. And of course we did underperform against Celtic, but to be fair to them, they were very admirable in the way that they beat us, and they performed very well and they deserved the result, so fair play to them. FA Cup semi-finals has been drawn. We're going to be playing against Stoke, and the likelihood is that we're going to be facing Chelsea in the final, but first things first, we have to deal with the business here. But once we do get into the final, hopefully I'm hoping against Southampton, then we'd definitely be showing you that game, and I think that would be in May. And yeah, I think today's just all about Chelsea. So let's go back to the schedule again quickly. I'm pretty sure you guys noticed, but let's just quickly go through the results as well. 3-1 against Huddersfield in the FA Cup 6th round. Mane with the hat-trick. 93rd minute goal there as well to just make things really comfortable for us and secure the result, because Jonathan Hogg worried this there for a short while. Stoke was a very comfortable 3-0 result, doesn't get any better. Marco on the score sheet, as well as Chamberlain and Sturridge. So, you know, good to see some English talent amongst the goals. Huddersfield we managed to beat them again at home, 2-0 through James Milner and Marco again. So as you can tell, Marco's been stepping up in recent matches. Lallana missed out on a game because of a little bit of a knock he picked up. Marco came in, replaced him, and has done incredibly well since, so it's been tough to drop him. And we'll have a look at who starts today in just a moment. But if you guys are worried, or well, not worried, if you're trying to figure out what we'll be showing in the next episode, like I mentioned, the likelihood is if we get into this FA Cup final, then we'll probably be showing you that final alongside the last game of the season here, Manchester City. And who knows, if we do win all these Premier Division games, Chelsea, if we beat them today, they're going to be fighting for their lives to try and get into Champions League spots. So for them, it's a bigger game than ourselves, and we are away from home, so it's going to be a very tough one. Watford, though, they're in 14th place. I feel like they don't really have much to fight for. but they might want to secure a result just to be safe, and they are obviously at home, so it's a bit tricky. West Brom, though, another team in 11th place, not necessarily having anything to fight for, so I feel like we should be able to cruise against them. Newcastle are in 8th place as well. They might want to be fighting for Europa League spots, but it depends on where they are on the table once we reach there. City are the ones who are the team to look out for in the next few fixtures, of course. If you want to just have a quick look at our title rivals, I suppose, even though the title is most likely between City and United themselves, City have a fairly decent schedule. I mean, they face Bournemouth here just the same day as we face Chelsea. So obviously it makes today's result even more crucial because Bournemouth are just below us. So it'll be a very tough game for them. But I'm assuming if we manage to dispatch Bournemouth relatively easily, then so should City. Huddersfield's an away game. They're fighting for the relegation lives though, so you know, to avoid relegation. So yeah, and they're away from home, City here, so that means they might come up against a very tough Huddersfield team. Stoke at home, they're going to be playing them, so I think they'll probably cruise this game because obviously Stoke, the only thing they have to fight for is Europa League spots, and I don't think they're even mathematically capable. West Brom away from home, another team that they should be able to beat, and then they face off us at home themselves. So I think City should be the ones who will win the title. We have a quick look at United as well before we get into today's game. Their schedule. They're playing against Brighton, so Brighton are in 18th. Again, relegation battle makes today's game even more important because Brighton are going to be trying to fight for every single point possible. And if we win, that means we close the gap on Manchester United, if not City. They play Crystal Palace as well, also in 15th, kind of close to the relegation zone. Let's have a quick look at the table because I feel like I'm just talking nonsense. No, they're in 33 points. If Brighton win, then they'll come out of the relegation zone and possibly Crystal Palace might drop down. That leaves them Chelsea as well away from home. That's going to be a very crucial one for the Champions League too. Watford at home, not necessarily anything to play for. By this point they should have mid-table wrapped up, and Newcastle away. Maybe Newcastle might be fighting for Europa League, so that's another thing to look out for Manchester United. So very much so, the title is quite open, but I'm just assuming that we have no say in the matter. You know, we just have to keep trying to pick up our wins and hope everyone above us drops points. But I would say if we met the board expectations of Champions League football again, we'll be alright for this season. If we manage to we've already won the League Cup, so if we win the FA Cup and we have the League Cup in our bag, and we get Champions League football, I reckon that's a decent season and enough to build on next season where we could possibly go for the title. Obviously, if we win this season, great, but let's take things one step at a time. So these are the players we've got available at the moment. Oxlade-Chamberlain and Mane won't actually be playing today. I haven't actually sorted out the team just yet. So we'll take off Chamberlain for Salah, who's back from his injury. Sturridge for Firmino, because I think Coutinho and Mane are the left wingers. Chamberlain's injured as well, so move Sturridge to striker and play Firmino on the left wing, Mane and Chamberlain on the bench, I suppose. And that's it. I think we're ready to take off. So I think we pick up a bunch of injuries because obviously, as it says here, match intensity is very high. It's because of our tactics that we use. We play a high tempo, we close down a lot and all that sort of business, high line. So it takes a lot out of our players, and obviously in England you play a ton of games in a row. So what I've tried to do to hopefully stop the frequent injuries, because not everyone that's being injured is injury prone. I've lowered the intensity level to low rather than average, so the overall workload gone from medium to light. So I'm hoping that will sort everything out, but I'm also hoping at the same time that wouldn't actually lower the influence the general training has on our players, you know, ahead of matches. So far though, nothing too bad, so let's hope it continues. Having said that, the intensity is still at average this week, and it only goes into low next 2 weeks, so we'll only find out later on. I'm hoping that doesn't seriously just derail our title chances. I think we mentioned last episode Firmino, and there were a couple of players who were unhappy. Mane and Coutinho, all unhappy that we didn't make into the latter stages of the Champions League, so they'll all be wanting to leave. And I'm gonna be I offered them out. Actually, Firmino's accidentally transfer listed. He's not supposed to be transfer listed. I'm offering them so that they can, you know, at least be okay that I'm trying to do something for them. But at the same time, I don't want to transfer list them, because the truth is they are necessary to the squad. I don't want to lose them, so there's no need for the squad status to change to not needed when in fact they are. It might not necessarily get them as much you know, attention, I suppose, as possible, but I'm trying to avoid that anyways. I'm just trying to be able to say to my players, yeah, I did try, just no one wanted to come in for you, that kind of thing. And, you know, it's going to be very bad if we lose all 3 players. We should be able to replace them with ease, but that's just, you know, something that's unnecessary. We want to keep our players as much as possible. There's another player that's wanted to leave initially, was Joel Matip as well. He's gone down to a good player for most Premier League sides, even with Peter's advice. Nope, okay, Peter's changed again to a leading player. Seems quite flip-floppy in truth, but either way, Matip has been okay with the recent game time he's gotten, and you know, I'm happy to play him as long as he's performing. Wallace is a bit of a better player now. He's developed much better now, and he's finally better than Matip, as you can see here, and he's still got a bit of potential too. But you know, as long as you perform, you get the game time. So, too much talking for my liking. Let's just kick off against Chelsea and try and get a very important result away from home. I think earlier in the season, I can't believe I forgot to show you in the schedule, but I think we beat them 3-0. So if we can see a similar result now, when we should be, you know, a better gelled team, I suppose, then hopefully that'll be good. You know, if we can beat them then, we should be able to beat them now. But they are obviously playing a very tough formation, and I think last time around we actually struggled with the 4-2-3-1. I'm going to start this time again with the 4-2-3-1, see if we can still get away with it. Maybe we're better off now, but if I start to see some danger signs early on, I'm not going to just wait patiently until halftime and then make the switch. I think I will make a knee-jerk reaction, I suppose, and switch the formation. But yeah, today's players: Simon in goal. He's the Premier League goalkeeper as always. Barter, Matip in the middle of defence. As we mentioned, Barter's a first choice. Matip no longer a first choice, but still in good form. Robertson outperforming Moreno at the moment, and his average rating's even gone up to the 7s. So that's good to see. He's supposed to be our first choice initially in the start of the season, but Moreno overtook him. Klein, obviously highest average rating in the starting 11 at the moment, performing really well since he returned from his injury, and I can't be happier with him. Jorginho and Milner in the middle of midfield. Very disappointed in Chan in recent times, as well as Henderson all season. Really, Henderson underperforming for us, but as long as these two are doing well, Milner even managing to pick up a couple of goals there, then I have no complaints. Firmino, though, we already talked about the striker situation in the wingers, so Firmino's going to be playing out as an inside forward, very comfortable, very natural in that role and that position, so he'll be okay there. Marco, good form, as we mentioned, attacking midfielder, getting a bunch of goals, 5 goals, 4 assists to his name, and we've got Salah here on the right hand side with the most assists, 18 goals, 16 assists, and hope to see more here. Chelsea with a very defensive formation. We might have to struggle against the back 3. We've also got wing backs to contend with, but we should be able to dominate the midfield area. I'm hoping the players here can do that. But Morata with the most goals for the starting 11 for them, and he's just on 17, so I think Salah has gotten more than him. Firmino not so much so, but he's been injured for quite a chunk. Sturridge has gotten more, Marco maybe not. And yeah, I think there you go. So let's quickly give a team talk. And okay, so apparently we're only qualifying for Euro Cup. That's a bit unusual. I thought we would be qualifying for the Champions League. Already qualified for the Euro Cup, or have I confused the two? Let's go with the media one. That seems to always motivate players. And apparently we're not favourites today's game, so that makes the clash even more interesting, as well as, of course, the other rival teams, the ones that, you know, their opposition players as well. Just about how the whole round, the Premier League round, this Premier League round is going on, makes today's game even bigger than just how it is normally, Liverpool and Chelsea games, of course. So we've lost possession fairly early on through Willian, and that's the end of that highlight, thankfully, but we'll need to recover and start to dominate the game, hopefully. Salah on the ball for us. Jorginho to Milner, ball-winning midfielder, what can you do? Tries to play it to Marco, but he's lost it quite quickly, so it's out wide to Firmino. I think that was actually initially gone to Robertson. Firmino should be in the box as an inside forward in truth, but anyways, kind of sparks Chelsea trying to break. Taking the time though, if we can win it high up the pitch, it might cause them some damage. Eventually Courtois does lump it forward, Matip heads down to Milner, and we've still got the ball, which is good to see, but Jorginho trying to find Marco again. And either Marco's not dropping deep enough, or he's just being, or the players playing the ball into him are being reckless. Morata is in for Chelsea. 1 counter-attack, 1 goal. And within 5 minutes, we're in some serious danger. Serious trouble, really. Jorginho there getting a huge chunk of his rating down because of that poor pass. And it was poor. by all means, so not good to see, but hopefully we can respond now. Salah finds Sturridge, loses out to Fabregas, and Chelsea are back on the counter-attack, so maybe it is the formation that doesn't help. Morata holds the ball up well, Willian there, Robertson knocks it out though, but to no one, and we just pointlessly losing possession, and Willian's back on the counter, and again he's probably going to find Morata. There you go, even though he's not supposed to, he's not technically free, he still gets the header on the ball, and I guess the formation's not helping, but it shouldn't be such poor defending and amateur mistakes in the first place. Go to 4-2-3-1 with 2 DMs to see if we can try and save the game still, but we're just going to open up that gap between the two midfielders and Marco, who are already struggling to find apparently, so I'm not a fan. I think I will go to the 4-4-1-1, maybe see if that helps a bit more, but Chelsea very much in total control early on, and I think they're aiming for revenge after we beat them 3-0 in the first half of the season. They're trying to get their home result themselves with the 2-0 so far. We haven't had a single shot since switching formation, so I don't think that's doing too well for us. Let's try the 4-4-1-1 and see if we can overlap better and take advantage of their high flank, I suppose. Immediately we see a shot, so it's good to see. We might have to go into attacking mentality. But the players just not up to it today, which is a bit unusual. They're very motivated as we headed out. We've been in good form in recent matches. Quickly fell apart though. Can we recover in the second half? Tell our players off, go into attacking. And maybe we can still turn this game around. Chelsea's formation always difficult to play against. I think we had a bit of luck in the first time we faced them, but at the same time, my players were very up to that match, so there's always that to factor in as well. It's not always tactics, it's not always what you say to them. Sometimes they're just not up for it. So let's try and motivate them with a bit of a harsh team talk, I suppose. Go into attacking, and see whether that can spark something out of this team. Chelsea gets going though again. David Luiz on the ball for his team, and Pedro with a bit of space there, but let's end that highlight, I suppose. A bunch of underperformers in. We're going to have to make some serious substitutions the moment we get the opportunity to. And I'm actually considering going back to the 4-2-3-1 because it doesn't seem like the 4-4-1-1 has helped us too much either. Maybe, well, having said that, Milner finds Sturridge through, but he's by himself. If he can hold the ball up well, he can bring others into play. He doesn't exactly do that at both opportunities. Great, that was disappointing. Either way, Chelsea on the ball. Have to try and recover, get into a good shape. Marco pressing high, and so is Salah. Don't know why I had to pause that, but either way. And Fabregas finds Morata. Marco on the ball, finally. That's as disappointing as it comes. I can't remember if Lallana's on the bench. We actually didn't have a look at the injured players before today's game. Pedro sent through though, and he can probably find Morata in the box again. He's man-marked, but he's left free. And the Spanish... He is Spanish, isn't he? Have I completely messed that up? Well, either way, I'm going to say it's a Spanish connection. I've forgotten to put on replays, but it's a good thing I did because there's 3 goals all in Chelsea's favour and I don't want to see them again. Have a quick look at Morata. I could have sworn he's Spanish. Yeah, he is, okay. For a second there, I thought I lost it. Alright, so let's go back to the 4-2-3-1 wide. I know I'm switching formations a lot, which doesn't really help, but sometimes these tactical tweaks do help. Quite often when I do switch formations, it does help the game. I'm going to go all out attack, see if we can still, you know, help with the goal difference at least. But this definitely, well, I mean, you can never say definitely, but this really is a huge blow to our title challenge, and we're more likely than not having to settle for a Champions League spot. Obviously, it depends on how everyone else has performed, but yeah. Lallana, okay, Marco I thought was poor, but apparently everyone else is much poorer. We'll move Firmino to Sturridge's position. Hopefully that will see an improvement in his performance. Bring on Mane as an inside forward. Salah's had a terrible game, so is Jorginho. Henderson's not on the bench, but we do have chance. I'll take him off. We don't need another player getting sent off either. Both these players underperforming. Maybe switching them around will see us do a bit better. Ball playing defender for Barter. Central defender for Matip. Made 2 substitutions. We'll save our last one. And probably just bring on either, most likely, Chamberlain for Salah, since Marco seems to be one of the better performers of the team. He's actually the best outfield player at the moment, and that kind of says quite a bit because we've seen what he's done in the highlights. And having said that, Chelsea on the highlight here, Kante with a ridiculous ball because not even a single blue shirt was there. But we can try and counter-attack through Chan here. Salah's on the ball. Can he find someone through? Marco free. What can he do this time? Loses it, but got it back again, and Firmino's eventually found. And what can the Brazilian do here? Marco on the ball again. Back to Firmino, just playing between themselves. Eventually through to Milner. What's he going to do? Loses out. And Moses helps Chelsea, or tries to set Chelsea on the counter-attack. Thankfully, it's just a Matip. And Chan finds Klein well. Looks like going into attacking has helped us. But can we score a goal? Mane! First clear-cut chance of our game coming in the 60th minute. And Mane, coming off the bench, couldn't finish it. And that's as disappointing as it comes. I think we're seeing a bit better from Firmino. But we do need other players to step up. Salah's almost borderline going into a 5 rating. So we'll just bring on Chamberlain finally. Add some width to our game by turning him into a winger. And if we can get a goal, I would consider that an achievement after today's horrendous performance. Conceding within 5 minutes time kind of explains, it's very difficult to recover from. But it explains why my players were just not up for it. So I think my mistake was, just going to pause it, sorry. My mistake was moving from the forwards to 3-1. I thought we were being too open, but once going into the attacking mentality and self-control, we've definitely stepped up our game. Having said that, it looks like Morata's about to score a 4th, and now I'm scared to press play, but let's see what happens. Morata scores his 4th through set piece, and that, if it wasn't already game over, it is now, and complete credit to Morata. He's been substituted off now, but I said my other players scored more goals than him from the wide positions, and he must have heard me because he's gone and scored 4 goals, and now he's ahead of Salah, ahead of everyone else. And that pass there kind of sums up our game. Pedro on the ball for his team again. Belotti's free. Is he going to be closed down well enough? A decent shot, but he shouldn't be allowed to do that in the first place. And as much as attacking has helped us in terms of our attacking game, our defending one has certainly been a very poor or a messy one. If the game can end, that'd be perfect. 4-0 is probably as bad as it gets this season. I don't think we've lost 4-0 to anyone all season long. So credit to Chelsea, but my players just did not show up today. This type of performance doesn't happen. It's not based on tactics, it's not based on morale, it's not based on anything. It's just your players' mentality slipping up. Moses is going to try and make it 5 for Chelsea. Belotti in the middle, headed out. Bakayoko though down to Pedro, and he takes a free shot. Thankfully Simon's alive to it, and we survive there again. But Chelsea doing everything they can to put us under serious trouble. So this was what I mentioned. Chelsea had a lot more, well, you could argue a lot more to fight for in today's game. Probably the players just feel like the Premier League's not within our grasp, even though it kind of was, or mathematically was at least. Away from home, they just weren't alive to it, I suppose. Disappointing, basically. That's the only way you can sum up the game. This match stats here makes it look a lot more even than it was. To be fair to Chelsea, they scored 4 goals from just 2 clear-cut chances. While ourselves, we missed our clear-cut chance, of course, and we didn't create that much. If you just look at their player ratings and our player ratings, Morata's close to complete 10. I'm actually confused that he's not. He's got 4 goals. What more can you ask from a striker? Either way, we told off our players at half-time. Don't feel the need to tell them that we're upset again. Just tell them unlucky and move on. Why did I hand over to my assistant? That was an accident. What on earth did you say? Crap. I don't want them relaxed and motivated. Or is that my doing? Oh well. Alright, so that's kind of it for the episode. We'll have a look at the City game. That should be the last one for the next episode, the last game of the season, and we'll be back obviously after the transfer window, and hopefully maybe we'll see some new signings. Maybe it depends. I think I'm quite happy with the balance of the squad. Just the goalkeeping department I feel needs to be improved on, but obviously if players ask to leave, then they will be sold and we'll have to improve. the players that we have. But having said that, let's have a quick look at how the other teams got on with today's game. So we were the first ones, so I'm going to quickly sort out my squad, have a quick look at the match report. Pretty much everyone has performed poorly. Watford is a Premier League game, so Simon should be starting. Everyone else is under threat. Klein's in good form, Matip in good form, Milner in good form, Marco, Firmino, Sturridge is in good form, and these are the players. You know, Robertson kind of, he's a bit unlucky, but he will be taken off. Barter, for example, these are solid bits of form, but nothing special. And so that's why they'll be taken off. Really, the ones who are underperforming are Salah, for example, on a 6.54. That's very poor. Sturridge on a striker as well. Roll, not doing too good. 6.74 is quite bad too. But anyways, we'll take them off. Barter for Gomez. Yep. Ball playing defender. He's his backup. Robertson's positional rivals Moreno. Take Robertson off the bench entirely. Vidal's injured though, so we'll keep him there. Jorginho for Henderson. So this is another opportunity again for Henderson to seriously put in a decent run of form together. Apparently he's had an average rating of 7.10. I can't see why. He's always seemed to be a sort of average player for me in the game, at least. Salah though, Chamberlain and Sturridge. Move Firmino up. Salah out for Mane. Salah out of the bench entirely. Coutinho there. And there you go. So a couple of players dropped entirely from the first team. These players should respond next time brought on. Jorginho, Barter and Salah in particular. Hopefully they respond next time around. And 7 games time, so some of the players who are injured should be back by then. And we can give them a bit of rest as well. Okay, so there you have it. So Watford, West Brom, just a handful of games. I think we can quickly skip ahead and see how the other teams got on in the Premier League. So hopefully that the damage that was done now isn't as bad. Conte is delighted. Buvac is fuming, of course, understandably. And I just need to see how the other players perform. It's good to see Jorginho having the best Premier Division pass completion, because during that game against Chelsea, it did not look that way at all. Deep line playmaker who's losing the ball constantly, couldn't find Marco whatsoever. And that's quite disappointing. I'm actually considering moving the ball playing defender onto the other side of the pitch. Maybe even the deep line playmaker to the other side and keeping the ball playing defender. I'm not too much of a fan of having those two creative players on the same side of the pitch. It kind of feels like it doesn't make sense, but I'm not sure how it works tactically. I've moved them around before, not with Liverpool, but with other teams I've played with. I've done that before, and I haven't felt like there's a huge difference with either way you did it. You know, if you had both on the same side or both on different sides, it didn't seem to make too much difference. The game doesn't seem to want to show us the results. Okay, so United beat Brighton quite easily, I suppose. Even Darmian scored, of all players. We've got City there, Chelsea. Okay, so the City-Bournemouth one's quite an important one, so let's try and see that. I feel like, might be my laptop, but I feel like the FM18 simming of matches seems to take much longer than FM17. Might just be me, but that's just the feeling that I get out of playing the game. If it can show us. Just want to quickly see this City game, please. Alright. No. Okay, and it didn't even show us after all that. That's perfect. Okay. Well, either way, like I mentioned, this places even more importance on trying to win the FA Cup so we can end the season with Champions League football and 2 cup competitions or 2 cup trophies. And I feel like that's a fairly successful first season in charge, and the next season we can seriously go for the title, improve our goalkeeping department, so whenever teams do hit us on the counter and we're seriously exposed, our goalkeeper can make up for it. I know the tactics we play are very risky tactics, but I'm just hoping to try and get results nonetheless. So City are the ones who dropped points. They've let Manchester United into the title, so it's very possible that our fierce rivals will win the title. Mathematically though, we are not out of the equation. and you know, Bournemouth drawing has allowed Chelsea back into the Champions League spots. And to be honest with you, you know, all biasness, if that's even a word, aside, it's quite disappointing because Bournemouth have been in the Champions League spots pretty much all season long. They've done really well this season, and it would be quite unfair to them if they missed out. So if we can have a look here, Bournemouth, there you go. They've been, you know, just about there all the time, and then suddenly Chelsea are back in it. So whereas Chelsea, look at that. Either way, that's what happens in football sometimes, isn't it? We can have a look at ourselves as well. Been up and down really. Finally creeped into Champions League spots and been in third place for quite some time. So have a look at City. That's all it took. What was this, the fourth match day? This is match 3. So they've been first place all season long. Yet Mourinho's Manchester United are seriously creeping in. I mean, look at them. A couple of chunks of inconsistencies, but after that they've been in second place all the time. And this is going to go right to the wire. It's going to be very interesting to see who wins. If both of them suddenly drop points out of nowhere, that would be incredible. But we have a very huge role to play in the game against Manchester City in the very last match of the season. But anyways, I think that's all for today's episode. So of course, if you did enjoy it, please do hit the like button and subscribe for more Daily Football Manager 2018 content. Of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. And as always, guys, thank you all very much for watching.